What's happening around the world and what's happening here at home? A very good evening to you. Welcome to Weekend Primetime News, and I'm Sandro Ferdinando. Let's start with a look at your headlines for tonight.
Trade unions claim that the discussions with the Prime Minister over the budget proposals were unsuccessful. Heated debate in Parliament.
අපි දැක්ක ඊයේ මේ සභාවේ තාජුඩීන් ගැන මතක් කළා විතරයි භූමි තෙල් ගාපු ගැරන්ඩිය වගේ දඟලන්න පටන් ගත්තා.
සියලුම පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ සියලු දෙනාටම ආරාධනා කරා සුහද කොකා නරඹන්නට. සුහද කොකා පෙන්වන්න එපා.
Computer literacy in Sri Lanka at 26.8%, a survey reveals. Grand finale of Sirasa Queen, Manhunt and Best Costume Designer takes place. Climate deal final draft reached in Paris.
It was reported that trade unions are of two different stances following the discussions with the Prime Minister over the budget proposals.
The discussion was called to discuss the issue faced by the state, semi-government and private sector through the budget proposals. The meeting took place at Temple Trees. Trade union representatives from the state, private and banking sectors took part in the discussion.
All of the trade unions were present. The Prime Minister and Finance Minister were present, representing the government, and also Ministers Ranjith Madhumavandara, Akhil Viraj, and I participated in the meeting as well. There is no issue. We will continue to move forward. We cannot be content with the discussion. The government put forward a number of recommendations on the table, and we put forth a set of recommendations as well. They were able to provide a proper answer to some of the grievances. However, some were not provided answers to. We will have to come to a proper conclusion only after further discussions. Trade unions are having a discussion following the failed talks at Temple Trees. Trade union leader Saman Ratnapriya, speaking to Newsfirst during this meeting, expressed the following views. All we saw through the entire meeting was their attempt to resolve the issue by buying time. They indicated in the meeting that they are ready to initiate dialogue to resolve the issue. We are starting to think whether this is a remedy for them to put us through a turmoil after they achieved their goals to convert revenue to resources during this time. However, they failed to provide a solution to our primary concerns. The proposed 24-hour trade union action by the state, semi-government and private sector scheduled for the 15th of next month will get underway as planned island-wide. There are 2 more days to find a solution for the pension and incentives. We could think about refraining from trade union action if they choose to scrap the proposal for the pensioners scheme and bring back the incentives for the employees. United National Party MP Mujibur Rahman requested the Speaker to inform the Committee on Privileges on the threats made at him in Parliament and see that justice is meted out.
When I was speaking to the House on the murder of Tajuddin, MPs Johnston Fernando, Sanat Nishant and Indekan rather leveled death threats at me and tried to intimidate me. I request you to present these live threats made to me to the Committee on Privileges in Parliament and make a suitable decision. I will direct this to the Committee on Privileges and call for a report within 2 weeks of next year.
Speaking in Parliament, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe commented providing office facilities for MPs.
We need to find a place where we can provide 150 office space for the parliamentarians. The MPs need to have office space. Are we going to provide them with buildings or are we going to provide them with funds? This will have to be decided. The staff of the councilmen in the United States comprises of 18 persons. In order to obtain the salary, the wives, children and even the servants are used for various tasks. If you make the count to 18, that will make it to 18 more relatives. There is no point in increasing the staff unless you bring an end to such a culture. A family member is included because the income is less. If we are to strengthen the parliamentary system, we need to provide them with all the facilities. Our behavior also needs to be developed. We cannot brawl. There was a tension over an attempted assault on an MP. I was surprised. He said, "Sir, when they had the power, a Muslim was attacked in the outside and because they had no power, they're doing it inside." Assault and attempting to assault is both wrong. Your party assaulted me. That happened because there was an attempt to make away with the mace. I will clash with him this time around. We have no issue with our Suhanda Koka.
අපේ සුහද කොකා එක්ක අපි කිසිම ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ කියලා මම කියන්න කැමතියි. ඒ නිසා සුහද කොකා නෑ වතේ හොල බන අපේ
If anyone had done something wrong, the party must also take disciplinary action.
විනය පියවර ගන්නවා.
The expenditure heads of the Ministry of Mass Media was debated in Parliament this morning. The Minister of Mass Media commented on introducing the Right to Information Act during the debate. It has been 15 years since the cinema industry of the country moved into the digital era. Yet our cinema industry is at the same place when the Kaduvuna Purandua film was done. We need to amend the Film Corporation of Sri Lanka Act so that we could enter into digitalization. There is a minister for this and we ask why is this being delayed? When it has not been included into the budget and when the expenditure heads have not been presented, when you say that we are moving towards digitalization, how can we believe that? There is a possibility of obtaining approval and proceeding with the project. Give us some time because we are discussing this matter. We will give this matter priority. Although this parliament speaks of many things, what is the status of the journalists who report on this? Have a look at the room reserved for the journalists. It is like a chicken pen or more like a tuition class. Yesterday when the name of Tajuddin was mentioned, the members were like snakes that came into contact with kerosene. Our government has nothing to hide. I wish to know that the era that murdered 44 journalists is over. During that time, 44 journalists, of which a majority were from the north, were killed. Journalists in the south were also victims. We have put a stop to that era. We need to provide compensation to those who lost their lives. Under the good governance, President Maithripala Sirisena will allow this to happen.
This budget has failed to allocate funds for the betterment of the cinema industry. Local artists are helpless. All the members in Parliament were invited to watch the screening of the film Suhada Koka. This is not even shown. Do not exert revenge on the journalist. Getting involved in cases is far more dangerous than the white van abductions.
If we are to add something to the freedom that we have given, it will be better to give journalists a form of insurance. I hope to support you in this through my foundation as well. If we can also provide them with a vehicle loan, that will also be good. A journalist is someone who is subject to assault and intimidation and also has no protection. If they are to act more independently and if we are to strengthen them, we need to provide them with facilities. When we took over in January and since then, no one can point the finger at us and say that a journalist was assaulted or media institution attacked or burned down or the minister, deputy minister or anyone else had made a phone call and exerted pressure. At a time where we experience complete media freedom, I am pleased that I can make this statement today. There are certain books that were printed. MP Geeta Kumarasinghe, have a look. There are several other books as well. If you visit Lake House, you can see piles and piles of these books. This was printed to boost one's image. This is the front page of the Dinamana paper back then. When people purchase the paper, this is what they see. It is surprising that Lake House made it with 800 million rupees. Broadcasting rights of cricket matches were arbitrarily taken away from the national television and given to CSN. Affection towards children is not a wrong thing. However, who would be held accountable for the destruction caused to the national television by moving state funds to please affection towards the children? The Right to Information Act was presented to the Cabinet and was approved and has reached the stage where it will be gazetted. Come next year, this historic act will be presented to Parliament.
Parliament was adjourned on two separate occasions yesterday following a tense situation between government and opposition MPs. Now, elsewhere, an MP caused a brawl in the Ukrainian parliament when he handed the Prime Minister a bunch of red roses and then tried to forcibly remove him from his podium by lifting him up. Minister of Housing and Construction Sajid Premadasa commented on the tense situation that arose in Parliament yesterday.
A proposed drinking water project for the new town area in Lunugambera was declared open by the Minister of Housing and Construction Sajid Premadasa. Some individuals in the opposition jitter when certain topics are taken up for discussion. They cannot let go of their old habits. What are these old habits? If what is said is not pleasant to their ears, it is prohibited to say those things to the public, the MPs and the public representatives. What was prevailing was an era of masks. There was ban on speech. Now there is no such mask. There is no ban at all. We are all bound to provide the independence to the people to act democratically. Therefore, what happened yesterday was unacceptable. The era where the uncivilized governed is over. Because our government will not give prominence to physical strength. We will not give prominence to murderous politics. We have the independence to speak freely in Parliament under a certain ethical legal framework.
Still in our local news, the Department of Consensus and Statistics issued the computer literacy statistics for the first 6 months of 2015 based on Computer Literacy Survey 2015. Accordingly, the computer literacy of Sri Lanka is at 26.8% at national level.
The ability to use a computer to perform any activity has been defined as the computer literacy for the purpose of survey conducted by the Department of Census and Statistics. The computer literacy related statistics of persons who are in the age group of 5 to 69 years and characteristics of households were released following a year-long sample survey which is conducted in 12 consecutive months by enumerating 25,000 households. According to the survey, 24.6% of households of the country have at least one desktop computer or laptop computer. According to the Department of Census and Statistics, computer literacy for the male population is at 28.7%, while the computer literacy for females is at 25.1%. Youth who are aged between 15 and 19 years are reported with the highest computer literacy rate of 57.2%. Among the provinces, the highest level of computer literacy is reported from the Western Province, which stands at 38.3%, while the lowest is reported from the Eastern Province, which is at 12.8%.
The original question about computer literacy is the person capable of using a computer on her own or his own? So in the illustrative example, they even say that if a 5-year-old child is capable of playing computer games on a computer, that would be considered computer literate. Because this is a modern sector where literacy now has all kinds of different meanings. So a lot of people clearly are using the internet, using the computer facilities, because pretty much everybody who carries a smartphone in their pocket is carrying a computer.
Reports on Sri Lankan women who go to the Middle East for employment being subject to various forms of harassment and torture were reported over the past. While this particular subject brought emotional views to Parliament yesterday, the death of a Sri Lankan girl who had gone to Saudi Arabia as a domestic maid was reported from Saudi Arabia.
G. Krishanti, who lived in this house in Pragatipura, Visawala, was born on the 19th of July 1997 and was only 15 years old when she flew to Saudi Arabia as a domestic maid in 2012. She was flown to the Middle East through a foreign employment agency in Mardana and passed away on the 6th of May, shattering her parents' dreams of a better life. According to the parents, the foreign employment agency in question had informed them that Krishanti had committed suicide by hanging herself. They did not ask us anything and they did nothing. They wanted to bury her over there. They said because she was young, they cannot bring the body. We told them that we need to bring her body back to the country. No one will know about her if she was buried there. It took over a period of 7 months to bring back the body of late Krishanti. According to her father, she had made a phone call a month before the day she had died and had said she was looking forward to returning to Sri Lanka in May.
She said that she faced no issue for 3 years. She said that she will return in May but did not go into detail. The agency said that she was supposed to return on the 20th of May and that she had done this to herself. We do not believe this. She was to return to the island and we find it hard to believe she would do this.
Her parents say that she did not complete 16 years of age when she flew abroad. According to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of a Child, a human being below the age of 16 years and sending a child below that age for employment abroad is against the law. Several years ago, Rizana, another Sri Lankan, died under similar circumstances and drew local and international attention. These incidents are being reported in a backdrop where a Sri Lankan woman is sentenced to be stoned to death in Saudi Arabia. G. Krishanti is one example for this miserable fate that had befallen on the poor women who go to the Middle East for employment simply to make things better for their families here.
That was one's mother, sister, daughter and friend. That could even happen to someone you know. It is in fact the responsibility of the country as a whole to empower women with knowledge and understanding to prevent such incidents from taking place. The campaign Empower the Woman, which is dedicated to the cause, entered its 10th day today.
One leg of the awareness program aimed at empowering the women who render silent service commenced from the Gampaha train station today. This campaign, which is organized by Newsfirst, Sirasa and Shakti, aimed at empowering women with equality and security, is carried out together with the assistance of the Sri Lanka Police, Ministry of Provincial Councils and local government, district secretariats and divisional secretariats. Another leg of the campaign took place in Gampaha and provided the opportunity for the women in the area to raise their concerns and solutions to the issues they face. I don't like the fact that our women are seeking foreign employment. There are many opportunities here. There's no need to go abroad. A woman who could have a wonderful family life could live here. I think we should restrict foreign employment and allow more self-employment. This leg of the campaign, which commenced from the north, reached Madavachia today. The campaign aimed at providing essential knowledge to women on their security and other important facts reached Kulikuda this evening.
The grand finale of the Sirasa Queen Manhunt and Best Costume Designer program got underway this evening at the Stein Studios in Ratmalana. Winners of the Sirasa Queen Manhunt and Best Costume Designers are to be announced at this event that is taking place under much pageantry. Let's now cross over to the Stein Studios in Ratmalana to witness the event live.
යුරෝ කොස්මෙටික් ආයතනයේ ගැඹුරු වීරවර්ධන මාතාට ඇයතනවි ත්‍යාගය ලබා දෙන්න ලැබුණා.
ලක්ෂ්මී මැදිරියනි ඔබටත් නැවත වේදිකාවට ආරාධනා කරනවා අයට හිමි ත්‍යාග සහ පරිත්‍රාව පිරිනැමීමට.
News First, Shamir Rasuldin reports from Ashgabat on the International Conference on the Policy of Neutrality.
The International Conference on the Policy of Neutrality, marking 20 years since Turkmenistan achieved permanent neutrality, was held in Ashgabat today with state leaders, ministers and high-ranking UN officials. The conference was organized at the newly constructed Hall of the Commerce and Trade in the capital Ashgabat. The International Conference of Neutrality, with emphasis on peace, security and development, took place at this very conference hall that I'm standing right now in Ashgabat, Turkmenistan. The International Conference was held under the auspices of the Turkmenistan President. Speaking at the sessions this morning, the President of Turkmenistan said the country was proclaimed the first neutral state in history recognized by the international community. Tomorrow is going to be a very significant day for the Turkmens as the foundation laying ceremony will be held in Turkmenistan to construct a gas pipeline. Now the significance of this is that this gas pipeline will be bridging Afghanistan, Pakistan as well as our neighbors India. I am Shamir Rasuldin reporting for News First from Ashgabat, Turkmenistan.
An event to mark International Human Rights Day 2015 was held in Kandy yesterday.
The event was organized by the Kandy Human Rights Bureau and was graced by the German ambassador to Sri Lanka, Dr. Jürgen Mohad.
You brought a change, not us, not a foreign country, not the foreign governments. It has all of you who voted for a change and bringing in a new system. I have been around. I have been around also in the beginning of the year. I could observe many changes. However, only 5 months ago, I was in Madu. After my visit, CID came and was still questioning the priest there, finding out what I was doing there. 5 months ago, 5 months after the change of government. It's not only justice, the truth has to come out. We have to bring what happened, the injustice, we have to bring out into society. You have to talk about it. I encourage you now, who have been working for the human rights, those who have been the victims, who have been champions of human rights, bring out everything. Only if things are out in society, people can talk about it, can get aware, learn from history and move on.
Yesterday, News First reported on the Sri Lankan leopard that is at the brink of extinction as a result of human activity. Traps are one of the ferocious contributors for the decline in the numbers of these animals.
Traps were used since the prehistoric era to capture animals. However, the prehistoric method had taken face of a business today. Killing animals illegally using traps has spread rapidly in the Central Hills. The leopard, a near-threatened species, is one victim to those traps, and reports of the deaths of leopards surfaced recently as well. Mythical beliefs and the bestest motives have led to the killing of this species in Sri Lanka. Deforestation has also affected the lives of these leopards. Environmentalists state that the relevant officials should be taking action to stop the leopards being killed through traps.
In everybody's interest that those forests remain, it's in the interest of the leopard that the forests remain, it's in the interest of humans who are the neighbors of the leopards that those forests remain intact and the prey or the wildlife in those forests remain unharmed or reduced by human activity.
The annual carol service of Good Shepherd Convent, Colombo 13 was held at the school premises.
His Eminence, Right Reverend Dr. Emmanuel Fernando, attended the service as a chief guest. The title of the carol service was Breath of Heaven. The convent choir and the past pupils choir performed at the annual service.
The Bar Association of Sri Lanka issued a media release on the response of the Minister of Justice to the statement of the BSL on the appointment of a High Court Commissioner. Now it reads that the Bar Association of Sri Lanka has repeatedly objected to and strongly opposed the recent questionable appointment of a High Court Commissioner and condemned the recommendation pertaining thereto by the Minister of Justice. It notes that the Minister of Justice has since said that the appointment in question was made due to there being no vacancy in the cadre of High Court judges, and that, after verifying the statement of the BSL, has details that the number of High Court judges functioning in office is 70, whereas the law provides for a cadre of 75. Accordingly, the BSL, the claim that there are no vacancies in the High Court cadre is, to say the least, inaccurate. The BSL calls upon both Minister of Justice and the Judicial Service Commission to release a public list of sitting judges of the High Court, which will confirm the inaccuracy of the Minister's position, and also calls upon the Minister of Justice to clarify his position. Organizers of the climate talks in Paris say a final draft text has been agreed after nearly 2 weeks of intensive negotiations at COP21, the Global Climate Change Summit. No details of the proposed agreement have been released so far. The tentative deal was reached nearly 16 hours after the talks had been scheduled to close.
Sri Lanka delegation and the delegation stand was that yes, developed world should definitely take measures to reduce their carbon dioxide emissions by reducing burning fossil fuels, and they also should support the developing world to adapt to the changing climate. Sri Lanka has clearly stated that the Sri Lankan leaders have received the mandate of the people to go for 100% renewables.
And with that, we wrap up Weekend Primetime News. For the News First team, I'm Sandro Ferdinando. Do take care and good night.